Hello there, Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective. Excuse me. We are on season 1, episode 9. Rogue. This one is an interesting episode. This one gives us one of the iconic shots of the series that's in the opening, at least for season 1, where Clark jumps in front of the bus, has to smash into him to save the day. It's the thumbnail. So this starts with Clark, Lana, Lex. Pete's not in this episode. They're at this museum party thing in Metropolis. This is the first time we see Clark in Metropolis in the series. And they talk about this special breastplate. I think it was Alexander the Great or something that they show. And it looks like a Superman symbol on the front. I don't know, it looks very cheaply made. But come on. It's 11:30 Central Time. No yawning. No yawn. No yawn. Anyway. So he goes out for some air, and then randomly this dude on a bus, the bus driver has a heart attack. And the bus is gonna crash, but Clark saves the day by, I don't know why he doesn't just go like this and stop it. He smashes into the bus. The bus driver doesn't get hurt. But at the same time, we have Detective Sam Phelan of the Metropolis PD, crooked cop, who is extorting his latest person when he happens upon this. So it's a blackmail story. No, I just want to get through the very small B plot of this episode. Because it's not much. It's just setting up things. We meet Victoria Hardrick, an ex-flame of Lex's, who is like in a few episodes, like a 3-episode arc, whatever, and she wants to make a deal. She wants Lex to make a deal with her father, is basically what it is, and we don't really get much of that in this episode, because it's basically based around this whole blackmail thing. Am I the only one that feels like Clark's solution should have worked? They don't explain it, though. So, Phelan knows about Clark's abilities. He figured out who he is. He tries to extort him. He tries to blackmail him. He says, hey, you help me out or I'll tell the whole world what you are. He's a crooked cop. He even goes to Lex to get information, and Lex acts like he doesn't know Clark, which is a smart thing to do. And, so, what Phelan wants is for Clark to help him steal these files that IA, Internal Affairs, has on him. Basically, they have information on his crooked stuff, and they want Clark to get it. So he throws the entire safe out a window onto Phelan's car and gives him the file. He says, there you go. The cops show up and arrest him. And I feel like that should have been the conclusion of the episode. But it's in the middle of the episode. So, the C plot. There is a C plot. Maybe the Lucia thing is a C plot. The B plot, I guess you could say, is that Chloe is fired from the Torch by Principal Kwan. Second appearance of Principal Kwan, by the way. For writing about the meteor rocks. And when Lana tries to get Chloe's job back, she's put in charge, and Chloe gets all upset, unnecessarily upset for this, and freaks out. And it's all because this is what's starting the Chloe has feelings for Clark subplot that goes throughout the season. And it's also sort of in season 2, but it's more throughout this season. And there's a moment when Lana walks in where Clark and Chloe are kind of joking around. They're like right close to each other, and she's smiling. And then Lana comes in, and you can just see her smile fade away. And it is resolved when Lana prints a story about what Quan did to Chloe, which fits all his criteria that he wanted, and so he hires Chloe back. That's that subplot. So, because this plan that Clark that should have worked and ended this, it was in the middle of the episode and didn't work. The cops, Sheriff Ethan, who has known Jonathan his entire life, they show up and they have a warrant to search the premises. And they find first of all, he shows up and he's like, hey, I have a warrant to search the premises. They'll come on in and like, hey, we found something. Shouldn't you have waited till after you give, don't you have to show the warrant before you search? You can't just say, okay, start searching, I'll show them the warrant. Is that how that works? I don't know, it's a little iffy to me. But they find a dead body. This person is never identified to us. We don't know who this is. This is some random dead body. And the gun that used to kill him was in the truck. Now, I'm not a serial killer, but I play one on TV. But I've seen a lot of movies, action films, horror movies. If you are committing a crime in which you used a weapon to kill someone, you would not hide it in your vehicle that sits in your driveway where anyone can go in there and look. Also, I was going to say, why wasn't the truck locked? But they live on a farm. And that's another thing. Why would you leave the vehicle in which you have said weapon unlocked? There's a lot of red flags here. And the biggest one is that Ethan knows Jonathan and knows he would never do anything. Although we can't talk about Ethan until season 2. But, yeah. So Jonathan goes to jail. And, because basically, when Phelan, I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff, but Phelan tells Clark to meet him at the beanery, the coffee shop. Jonathan goes instead. And he's like, anything you want, I'll give it to you, just when I'm pending alone. He's like, I want your son. No. You know, it's a father standing up for his son. So, yeah, but eventually, So, now that Phelan's not able to get his internal affairs files, he did have them, he decides, I'm just going to be a flat-out criminal now, and you're going to help me steal that breastplate because we shut it at the beginning of the episode, so we have to come back around to that. It feels forced, man. It feels forced. It's just like, why is he now going after this breastplate? Just because we showed it at the beginning, so we have to come back around to it. But it makes no sense. Oh, well, you know what? If I can't get my files, I'm just going to be rich. But they still have your files. I mean, come on. I digress. It's my belly here. So, what happens is they go in. Clark helps him steal the breastplate. Because Clark opens up the thing and they cut all the cameras off. At least in the Luthor wing. Not all the cameras, just the ones on the Luthor wing, which comes back later. And then they go in. Clark breaks it open. I was for sure there was going to be like meteor rock thing guarding it, but no, I'm thinking other stuff. And he steals the breastplate, he puts it in his bag, and then Clark sees, because what happens is Phelan calls in a fake bomb threat, which is a felony. It's also a felony to have a bomb. But anyway, Lex shows up because he followed Phelan there. And it's just one of those old alarm clocks. It's like a clock with the little bell that goes ding, 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 ding on the top. Yeah, it's one of those things. And then Clark yeets the bag with the breastplate out the fucking window. It lands right in front of Lex and the security guards. And the security guards run in. Phelan Phelan decides, hey, I'm going to shoot you because you're not bulletproof. Oh, he don't know. But instead of Clark just taking the bullet, he super speeds. And this is one of the things where you can just go and speed out of the way. We have to kind of stretch the episode just a little bit. So he's just like... misses him, shatters another exhibit. And then, instead of being arrested, he starts shooting at the security guards and gets himself shot. Clark at this point has super sped off, so he wasn't seen. But Lex knows that Clark was there. He goes, I know Clark was with you. What do you have on him? You have on him. And I'll give credit to Phelan. He tells Lex to go to hell, and he takes it to his grave. So, he's a bad person, but he doesn't want Lex to know. Of course it would. It's also plot-wise. But my biggest problem with this episode comes at the end of the episode. Jonathan just waltzes into the house. All charges were dropped. How? They found a dead body in your barn. The gun, the weapon, was in your truck. And it feels like this was wrapped up for the sake of wrapping it up. There is no connection. Like, Phelan is there, but Phelan is dead. Right? Phelan is dead. Phelan is dead. So there is no connection to Phelan. There's no... How? How does he get freed from... How is he not still guilty? How is he let go? It makes no sense. There is nothing shown to us to indicate that the cops have been informed of the framing. It just says all charges were dropped. That just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. And watching this back, I remember this being one of the better ones. It is okay. It's decent. But I hate Phelan. And I see the thing about Phelan is I see Phelan as a character, and I see him as someone that could have recurred. They could have come back in several times. And I feel like maybe originally he was written to be a character towards the end of the season. But that's Roger Nixon, who was already introduced in an earlier episode. He comes back later, and it feels like Phelan could have been that character. It makes sense. Phelan as a character is more menacing than Nixon. Nixon's just a dumbass reporter. But they kill him off in one shot. And it feels like this character could have been more. Like, they could have done a thing. He goes to jail and then comes back later. You know what I mean? He wants revenge. Think about this. Okay, there's a thing in season 5 where a certain villain shows up and wants to give Zod, General Zod, a vessel. Because in this version, Zod doesn't have a human... Well, I'll explain when I get to that season. But he doesn't have a human form. He doesn't have a corporeal form. And they end up choosing Lex. What if Phelan came back? There's a story throughout season 5 that he escaped, and he's the one chosen to be this actor playing Zod. I think would work, but no, they go a different route. But anyway, when it comes to this episode, I'm gonna give it 3.5 Superman logos out of 5. I think it's decent. I just feel that Phelan's plan, like, he couldn't get his Eternal Affair record, so he's just gonna take the money and run. Stupid band. But what is that gonna get him? Like, he's got this thing, the jewels on it are worth millions, but he cannot. Maybe black market, I guess, but I don't know. And then when he can't get, he's just gonna shoot Clark. And his only defense is, well, you're not bulletproof. You don't know that. You've seen him super strength. You've seen him use his super strength. You saw a bus crash into him, and you don't think he's bulletproof? You're an idiot. You know, and then the whole thing with the whole Jonathan going to jail subplot wrapped up in a neat little bow with just saying all the charges were dropped, but they don't explain how they were dropped or why they were dropped. They were just dropped. Yeah, so it's a little complicated this episode, but you know, and Victoria's role is very small, although she doesn't have a big impact on the show. In season 1, she has a little impact, but you know, whatever. So, what are your thoughts on this episode? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.